Welcome aboard. You're listening to FlightPlan Quick Consults, your go-to podcast for veterinary insights that are fast, focused, and designed to elevate your practice. I'm your host, Brenda Medina from Encore Veterinary Consulting. Whether you're between appointments or heading into a strategy session, we've got takeoff-ready tips, tools, and takeaways to keep your team soaring. So buckle up and let's chart today's course to better client care and communication. Today's panel includes Tiffany Consalvo, Debbie Hill, and Ben Spinks. Ben, tell our listeners a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, my name's Ben, and home base for me is a pet care campus in Ohio. I co-own that. My partners are veterinarians. I work on the business side of things. We have a GP practice, a pet resort, and now a veterinary surgery and dental center focused on referrals, kind of on the same campus. The other thing I focus on is videos. So we do video production in the veterinary vertical, and we're based in Colorado.
Awesome. You travel back and forth between the two?
Now and then.
Now and then. Next up is Debbie Hill from Pensacola, Florida.
I am a newly retired hospital administrator. And after 35 years of flying all over the country for speaking engagements, I worked with Patterson for 13 years. I've taught all courses. I'm willing to speak apparently on anything that Christine Shoup thinks I need to speak on. But apparently retirement's a little bit boring. So I found some consult work, writing some curriculum, doing some side gigs because I love management and all things that are management. Our practices were small animal and multi-practice. At one point, we had six at the same time. We've bought, we've sold, we've seen what works, we've seen what doesn't. So I just love veterinary management as a whole, and I'm always willing to help others succeed.
Well, thanks for being here, Debbie. And last but certainly not least is Tiffany Consalvo.
Thanks, Brenda. So I have been working in the field now for over 20 years. I've spent a lot of time in small animal GP practice, so started my career off there. And then I was able to move into a more of an administrative role with a practice and spent about 12 years there, really developing them from a small GP of 3 exam rooms onto, 40 staff and fully renovated space from maybe 2,700 square feet to about 10,000. So a lot of fun project. We went through the whole sale situation, so we were able to sell our practice in 2021. And since I've been consulting, I've been speaking like Debbie. I've worked with Patterson and flew around the world doing some of those things as well. Currently, I'm working as the director of practice leadership and operations for Encore and get to support 27 hospitals now with practice management and leadership. So loving it.
Awesome. Well, today we are focusing on client care and communication. And my first question is around forward booking or booking an appointment before the client actually leaves. And I'm amazed to be asking this question at this point in time because I've been teaching on this for I don't know how many years. And when I look around at the world and the service, all the different service providers that we have in our personal lives, we're forward booked on just about everything. I mean, I'm forward booked on my hair appointments, my doctor's appointments, my dentist appointments, and yet we still falter here. I believe that VetSource's most recent benchmark in this particular area says that we're at about 18%, which just baffles me. So I'm going to start with Tiffany this time. How do you forward book appointments without sounding pushy? Because I think that seems to be the biggest hang up when I talk to teams about this is they feel like they're pushy.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And I've had practices that I've worked with that get it and they soar in this area. And I've had practices that I feel like I'm beating them over the head, just being like, what is going on? And I think it starts from the foundation. The staff themselves have to be bought in. They have to understand the why of forward booking and the importance of it. And when they're not bought in, it does sound pushy in the room. And so I think because they're just trying to get through it and they're uncomfortable with it and they don't like it for whatever reason. I think a lot of the reason when I post them is we don't know our doctor's schedule and we don't have to want to change appointments. So I think this ideology that changing the appointment around later is really, really negative. And it's not from a client perspective. We make changes to our schedule all the time. So we at the dentist, I'm like, yes, just put me on the schedule. I know I've got to come back around that time. And if I have to switch things around, that's okay. And so I think we got to change the ideology of the staff. Once that's changed, when you're in the exam room, the staff have to show how much they care. So I think they have to find their language where it's not cookie cutter, but why is forward booking appointment important? And so you kind of start with that why in the client, show them that you care, and then find language that doesn't sound like it's been rehearsed over and over, but find language that shows I care about you. I want to make sure that your pet receives this care, and so I get your appointment on the books with the doctor so that we can make sure that we maintain this level of care type of thing. So I think it kind of starts foundational with your team. And then once you get that bought in, then you can take it over to how can we actually say this well in the exam room to get impactful changes. The other thing is it's not really an option. So I think you just say it so we don't give the client so much option there. And it's not pushy. It's just kind of like, hey, I've got you on Wednesday at 2 o'clock because that's what day you're here. Does that still work for you in 6 months? And then you kind of just, they say yes or no. And if not, they find a day that does work versus, do you want to forward book that appointment now? Because then clients say, no, I'll call you later. And so I think you get ahead of that by kind of going ahead and changing the ways in which you are saying things. And it's just small little tweaks can have a huge impact. So,
Thank you. Ben, what are your thoughts about this? And how do you train your team?
Yeah, I mean, just again, reinforcing what Tiffany said, I think it's hugely important just to treat it like a normalized behavior. We are all used to it with our own, doctor's appointments, dentist appointments, anything. So yeah, making sure the staff is approaching it not as an optional thing. You're not asking them if they want to. You're just trying to help determine what the best day and time is going to be. So also always knowing what the next step is, so, whether that is a 6-month visit or whether it's going to be a vaccine somewhere in the middle or whether it is another annual wellness exam, you don't want to have the staff kind of scrambling for that in the moment. So making sure that your systems are set up in such a way that that's a really easy thing for them to know and figure out, so they don't have that, any amount of uncertainty there. If it is problematic, I do think it makes a lot of sense for the whole care team to reinforce that idea. So, as the doctor's leaving the room, hey, it was amazing to see you and Max today. I can't wait to see you guys in 12 months. We'll get that set up, as you guys are headed out. So reinforcing that language along the way if need be. And then I think the other side of that is, there is some friction with rescheduling, like Tiffany mentioned. And one way to combat that to an extent is, what you don't want to do is have a reminder system that sends them an appointment. If they schedule a year ahead of time, I don't necessarily, want to find out 2 weeks before the appointment that date doesn't work for them anymore, because now maybe we're booked out further than that. It's going to be hard to get them rescheduled. Now there's going to be delays. You might run into a situation where, a vaccine is going to lapse past the point of the manufacturer's guarantee. So I think one tactic there could be just setting the reminder system for people that have something out that far in advance. Hey, reach out a month ahead of time for that first confirmation if you want to, or even further. That gives them time to say, oh man, I have a vacation scheduled that week. I didn't have it in a year ago. But then they can reschedule in a way that hopefully is more convenient. They're not going to go out several weeks. They might be able to find something else the same week they originally were scheduled or something along those lines.
Yeah, and I find that it's much more proactive, or at least from a client's perspective. Oh, I have something scheduled. I need to reschedule. They're
Hmm.
going to do that versus maybe getting that reminder for the fifth time and saying, "Yeah, I'll get to that eventually," and it just kind of dropping off the cliff somewhere, right?
For
Debbie,
sure.
what are your thoughts on this?
Similar to these guys, like I never leave my self-care team without being on their books. My esthetician already has me booked through April or May or something. And if she texted me today to go to July, I'd do it. My optometrist now doesn't even ask. I get in the car and about an hour later, I get a text saying we have you on with Dr. So-and-so, April 12th at 4 o'clock. Okay, like they know I generally come late in the afternoon. Tuesdays or Fridays are good. We have that same information. I think we overthink this. I'm kind of like Tiffany. I think that we've missed the why. The staff feels like it's a thing to do and they're busy. And here's one more thing. And what if somebody balks? But the reality is that that's a value added service. Our clients are busy. To not have to think about going back and looking for the appointment time and I don't know what I'm doing next April. I'm just going to put it off.
mhm.
Next thing we know, the wellness care is 16, 18 months out. That's a reality. And it's something that we can fix by seeing this as a service. Most of our clients truly want the best care for their pet. We're not shoving anything down their throat. They're here getting vaccines today. They want that. My other thing that I've seen really successful is a little bit of FM fear of missing out. I have to think how it goes. We have a doctor that's incredibly popular. She's amazing. If she told me to hang my puppy upside down for 30 minutes a day, I would do it. Dr. Fair will tell you that's the thing you should do. And in the early days, the way I convinced that team was to say, I'm not sure what Dr. Fair's schedule is going to look like next April. Let me go ahead and get you on her books because the other doctors were good. They liked them, but they want who they want to see. So by putting that little bit of shift that I'm not sure they're going to be available. Let me get you on their books. And then, like Ben mentioned, there's always the ability to change them a month out. We call a month out to say, if you're got vacation you didn't know, we're going to fix that. And so if we can reassure the staff that, hey, Jessica calls the whole list at the first of the month, everybody that's on and needs to change can, this is not a big deal. But I think that the shift is in seeing that as a value added service instead of an imposition.
I
What
like
do you
that.
guys think about AI making
Yeah.
those calls or calling lapsing clients that maybe didn't book in the room? I had my own experience with this for my personal health. It was a preventative service, and they told me to make the appointment, and I didn't. It's great because they left it up to me, and so I was sitting there, and they texted me and said, "Hey, we see you haven't made your appointment. Would this work for you?" And I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. And I did it, and it booked my appointment for me. And so I wonder how much technology is going to improve for us, and will that service be able to recapture some of those appointments if we're not doing it in the exam room to kind of help us get these preventative things booked and make it easy for clients? Because I was like, hey, that was cool. I didn't have to find the phone number. I didn't have to call the service. Like they just did it for me. So
Because you are that busy client.
yeah,
And she got a text, which
I
Yeah.
did
doesn't pick up the phone today.
My
So
dentist texts me right and left. You want to come? You don't want to come? Thanks for
that.
coming. Did you want to change it? No, thanks. See.
Yeah.
It's a
all right.
great trend, though. I mean, it's yeah, huge efficiency boost. And again, even if it there's always going to be some clients, especially today, it's probably going to lessen over time that's not their preference.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's a situation where I'm never going back there again. Like, because inevitably they've had to have some of those interactions with other providers, and yeah, so I think it's a low risk thing to lean into just to see if it works for your demographic at your practice.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
So my next question, I think I heard it about, I don't know, 100 times at least when I worked at the front desk of my first practice. What is the best way to respond when a client says, I think I bought a wing of the hospital with today's bill? Kick it off with you, Debbie.
Um, Oddly, this usually comes from our best clients. Like this annoys the stew out of us, but it's the most compliant client. So I usually jokingly say it can certainly seem that way with the cost of medical care these days. I love our wellness plans. Not sure if you've checked them out, but you can put like a little monthly payment instead of this big hit once a year for Rusty. And then for those unexpected medical needs, a lot of our clients really enjoy pet insurance. Here's a link to the couple that we like best. And I'm really appreciative of the fact that you take Rusty's care as such a high priority. Like there's no bad part to that. I've commended you for insulting me.
Well, I think they're just looking for validation,
I
which you
just want validation.
with that response.
Yeah.
Tiffany, what about you?
I think you should get really defensive and you should, no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I don't think you should get defensive with your clients. I think sometimes this could also go back to your team training is put them on the spot, do some role play so that they know how to answer this question in the moment because sometimes it can be really intimidating and they don't know what to say. And so then they get all nervous and it shows. And so
Feels
I think some of
awkward.
that yeah. So like that training can be really, really important to make sure somebody feels comfortable saying it. But I think I'm kind of like Debbie. I'd be like, yeah, I hear you. It was really expensive.
Yeah.
Let's go through all of the services that we provided, make sure that there's clarity around what we provided today. because it's either they're saying it because they're upset or they're saying it in a joking manner because they're like, oh my gosh, I spend tons of money on my pet. So if they're upset, I think I would want to hear them. So know that I hear them by validating that and then going through the details of what they, got today and then asking if there's any clarification that they need on anything. And then I think if it's on the other side, kind of that joking manner, then you can go into, yeah, there's also a couple of these things like we have Cherry or we have Care Credit or we have, some of these other payment options that might make it a little bit easier for you to balance that budget for you and kind of lend. But it depends on how it's coming at you. I feel like if it's coming at you snarky, then maybe I'm going to respond a little bit differently than if it's coming at me jokingly. So kind of depends. But yes, I have heard that too many, many times.
Ben, you never hear this, right?
Uh, yeah, sadly, every once in a while. No, and again, I think empathy wins the day in these situations, and I think making sure the staff knows this is usually a stress response. They're not actively being hostile to you. So all the things that Debbie and Tiffany said, I completely agree with. I think it is, reading that particular client. Hopefully, it's somebody that you do know a little bit, so you know the best way to respond, whether it be suggestions given the circumstances. Maybe this was a really unexpected, expense due to an illness or injury. That might have a certain response versus, hey, this was a spay and neuter with vaccines. There's a different type of expense. So, whether you're going to discuss insurance versus financing versus wellness plans, I think just having the background information and navigate that for the team will be helpful. And then also just making sure that, yeah, if it is a response you're hearing a lot, ensuring that it's not because we didn't do treatment plans. The client didn't know what to expect. That's a different kind of problem. So I think that is something we want to make sure not to lose sight of in case there is an opportunity for improvement there as well. But usually it's just, in my experience, a client more or less joking around and yeah, being empathetic. And man, I totally get it. I just had that experience when I took my car in for service, or that the whole comment of, Max is so lucky to have you as an owner. I just kudos to you for the investment you have in his health, that kind of thing.
When I think
Yeah.
into that empathy, you guys know that I am a collector of schnauzers. And so this fall, I mean, they change every year, right? But this fall, two of them have increased liver values. And I'm thinking,
Mhm.
sure. And so even with my IRS validated discount plan, that's a little bit of a shocker because I usually
Mhm.
tap on those labs with their grooms. So keep on now, I've got 4 grooms, 4 tips because I love my groomer, and then some labs and some shots. And I mean, it's staggering. And I'm
Mhm.
thinking, I pay by check because I am that person. And as I write the check, I know that the staff is going, oh yeah, she's got it. No, she's taking it out of some other pot of money. But again,
Mhm.
I've got these dogs. That's my plan. That's where I spend it. And that's okay. I mean, we're talking about clients that are willing to come in and drop as much money as it takes to get good care. But I kind of like Ben saying, usually they're just kind of lightheartedly saying to get at some commiseration and validation that they're doing well. But yeah, I am that client. But I did indeed build that wing, but not with my money.
I think some people have, if you are going through renovation or building or something like that, that's where we started to hear it more frequently.
Mhm.
So maybe strategies for your team, like one of ours where we didn't actually increase our fees when we first got into our new building because we didn't want everybody to say that right away to us because that's exactly what they're saying. We bought this new building for you.
Yeah.
They actually know there's a lot of loans, but so we kind of had some strategy around that and talked to our team about that. So they were being proactive. I also like what Ben was saying about if you're getting that a lot and you hear that as a leader in your practice getting that a lot, my guess is we're not being very transparent with our fees to our clients. And so that they are shocked when they get to the front desk or they're shocked when they go to check out. And so I feel like there's a lot of training and opportunity around reducing the shock level by being transparent with fees on your website or sending out treatment plans before you actually even get to the visit with what we would recommend, stuff like that to really help people budget. So a little proactiveness there too.
Well, thank you all for spending some time with us today. And thank you to our audience for flying with us on Flight Plan Quick Consults. If today's insights helped you climb to new heights, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with your crew. Until next time, keep your mission clear, your team aligned, and your practice soaring.